live in 3, 2. We're live already.
We are live.
Already live.
Yes.
How are we on getting our? Have you got any more of our episodes onto YouTube?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I hang my head in shame, but it's on my list today.
Do not hang your head in shame.
I've been under it, but I am going to do it. And we're not that. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm not going to worry about it. It's all about. That's so strange. You know, we get these trying to reconnect in that. So it's back again. That's fine. We're fine. What's nice is we're starting an episode of the CapmLew podcast here, as we do. My back aches just a littlest bit today.
You need some support?
I think I'm good. I went downstairs and I did a stretch and I had this big pops. So obviously I've got some tight muscles in there. But and I carried a whole bunch of shingles today. Yeah. A really long distance.
Really?
I did.
That's big time work.
I brought them. And it smells like there's something dead in here.
I have been.
It smells like a small dead animal.
I've kind of been the.
I'm gonna get a candle before we start the episode. There's a candle.
Yeah, do it.
I'm doing it. I think that's something we brought up here.
Is maybe dog pooped?
No, I do not think it's dog poop.
In the past, I have been the boy who cries wolf on fart smells up here.
I smelled it when we came in here.
Yeah.
I smelled it when we came in here.
You think dead mouse?
I do. Either dead mouse or now what do
That's
I do?
hilarious. We're out of matches.
Now what do I do? Out of matches.
We have everything.
I have 1,000. I have 1,000 lighters.
I know. And you buy enough that they sit everywhere, and then you don't need them for like a month, and then they're all gone.
Down here is a box that's a cigar box. It says it's the blue one.
Okay.
Pull that out.
Does it say Vox on it?
It's my pipe smoking box.
Sir.
Is there a single lighter in here?
There's a Zippo?
Oh.
That's never going to work, is it?
This one's our best bet. Yeah, because I don't tend to store butane lighters.
Oh, come on.
This is one of these. I don't know if you can get a candle lit with that. I don't know if I can. Oh, I know I can get a candle lit with this, though.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh. Is it? It's gonna work. Wow. Don't try this at home, kids.
That's exactly where I'm trying it.
We are at home. What are you gonna do with the paper once you...
Shh. Just...
Oh gosh.
Follow your own advice and don't worry about it. I think that I can extinguish this fully just by folding it. See that rosy edge? You know what? This is great content.
It is. This is amazing
I would watch this. I would totally watch. Look, I folded it up and now it's out.
Wow.
I can touch that with my finger. Now I can throw it into I have succeeded in lighting a candle to make up for whatever this terrible smell is. Dude, this thing I can charge. This lighter's cool enough to almost start smoking.
This is the almost gonna use it lighter.
Almost would start smoking just to use that lighter.
Yes.
Oh, Sam's on here. He's immediately going to put an anti-smoking post on there, that's why we keep him around.
Yes.
The thing I love about Tammy is she calls me on my crap. And by Tammy, I mean Sam Cook.
We love you, Sam.
Sigma male vaping grind set.
Yeah, it's a Sigma male vape grind set, dog. It's where you're tired and sad and just vape. It's beautiful.
No, Sigma males. Oh, yeah. They are sad.
There is that aspect
They
to
are.
Yes.
All right. Well, we are welcoming folks to yet another episode of the CapmLew podcast with me, your host, CapmLew. And...
CapmLew.
There he is.
Here I am.
There he is. For what it's worth, here we are
I am.
on our Christian Sigma male vaping grind set.
Vaping grind set, dog.
That's right.
Christian Bale ain't got nothing on us.
Oh my goodness. All of those memes, they are so boring.
Dude, but they're so funny.
There's so much more. I've only gotten the bad ones.
I know.
I really tried to do a deep dive on the Sigma male grind set.
Yes.
And I was really disappointed. I didn't find it very witty at all.
No, they're not. That's the thing, because they're just children. That's the entire thing is an endless cycle of making fun of themselves.
I knew I was missing something.
Yeah, you can't. you take it all totally seriously and none of it seriously at all at the same time. It's very hard to describe. And it's completely stupid and not worth any time. But I love them.
I had a number of folks on the Facebook Live zone asking me to go over my setup.
Oh.
As if my setup even works for me.
Well,
I drive enormous boards. I literally said drive instead of ride.
I
drive giant skateboards.
Yes.
And I drive powerful motorcycles.
Yes.
I drive very giant skateboards. I have 2 setups here.
Yes. They're basically the same.
They are exactly the same. I mean, they're so the same, it's the dumbest thing ever. And by that I mean pure genius. All right, so if you would hold one, you got a free hand.
I got it.
All right, so that one is older. It's on, let's start with the parts that aren't the same. This is on Bones wheels. Which Bones wheel? I don't know. I use the Radius wheel. I go anywhere from 56 to 60.
You have aftermarket washers on here, or aftermarket bushings.
That's right. On both of these setups, here's the new one. This is the one with newer parts. On both of them, I am running Bones Blacks, the hard Bones, with my kingpins out all the way to like barely a thread showing. After I ride for a while, I will tighten the rear down 1 thread, so it's just a wee bit more snug than the front, and that gives me a really deep tippy turn that is not shaky and soft and squishy. So the hard bushings, I run them. This time I actually used the Bones top washer. Bones bushings now come with a hard top washer. They're figuring it out.
Does it actually help though?
Help. I don't know. Don't care.
I do not. What word would you like me to use?
I don't know. On the new one, I did not plan this, okay? But I have black and silver and black and natural and black grip tape on the top and the black bushings, and I really like that. But I this time I went with a set of. And I like this brand a lot. I went with a set of Superfly Speedball bearings.
Yes.
I liked these in the day when they first came out. I was gifted by the owner a set, and they're purple. And if you notice on the video, I did not even know until I got home.
That's hilarious.
From skating at Life that I have a purple stripe and purple bearings, and I don't like purple.
Yeah.
It's the color of royalty, and I ain't there yet. But the board is 11 inches wide at the max.
Yes.
And I've already got, Tommy's Story says the 6-ball are better than the 7-ball.
What?
I am exhausted at the prospect of needing to know. I do not know. I cannot know.
Yes.
Otherwise, I will lose my mind. I just maximized the grip tape with some racing stripes. I did this 11-inch wide board in 9-inch wide grip tape. I like Jessup. I know that there are 1,000 reasons why some other brand is better than another brand, but Jessup is actually made in the USA.
Yes.
And I'm not using a Chinese-made far-flung grip tape unless I have to. And if I had to, how would I feel about it? I'd feel fine. I would.
You're so opinionated,
I'm
dog.
so tired.
He's so tired.
Not now, Todd.
I'm so tired.
I'm so tired.
Are we looking at 215s on both of these bad boys?
Yes, Indy 215s, a 10-inch wide axle truck. I've got on this board, as you can see, I run my graphics on the inside. I run a natural outside. That's the way I've always liked to run my wheels. When I was young, I used to take steel wool and remove the graphics from my wheels.
Wow. It's a bold move.
That's just where I'm at, man.
I'm seeing 2 16th-inch wide. What are those things called again?
These guys?
Yeah. What are those
my riser pads are 1/4 inch. These are full quarter.
Is this a
This one I stacked two
16th inches.
16ths.
Yeah, so we
To
got an
give
eighth.
me, so this back is 1/8 and the front
Oh,
is the same.
it's the same.
Usually I will run a 3/8 or even a half inch riser on the front and a 1/4 inch on the back. I like my front wheels to be up a little bit.
Huh.
That lowers what that does for me. That, along with a tail guard, which I don't use presently because I just haven't been in my workshop to make one. Because what you do, you pick a material,
Cutting board.
any material. It can be plastic, it can be masonite, it can be wood.
Yes.
Pick your poison, and you cut it. You trace your tail. You cut it to shape. You can countersink it, which is smart. I have countersinks in there, and I countersink it. And then I throw some drywall screws all the way through it to the top of the deck. And then I cut them off the top of the deck and I grip tape over it. Yeah. But the thing is, and here's the coup de grace.
Go ahead.
Is
The
I
coup
put
ass, got it.
epoxy.
Oh,
So it's really not being held on by screws.
yeah, it's being
It's
held on by
epoxy.
Yeah.
Sand off the lacquer or the poly.
Right.
Epoxy that thing on there, and
Yes.
that thing ain't going nowhere and will never rattle. And I'm similar with rails. I do use the short screws on rails, but I like to epoxy my rails. I don't tend to sand the board under the rails. It's
Yeah.
just,
I think I used to use shoe goo for the rails.
yeah, and that'll keep it from rattling, but
Yeah.
it won't
adheres,
really
yeah,
support.
sure,
Yeah, it
right,
doesn't
right,
really
right.
support them. And so I've got these two. These are the Panhead XL from Life Skateboards. Pro tip on applying a graphic. This one, it went double Barneys. So you got one on the nose and you got another one on the tail. And the pro tip, I think next time I'm going to request a single one in the middle so that we can actually see the face, because there is a sick, it's not a teardrop tattoo, it's an Ace of Spades tattoo.
Yes.
That I love to look at. But I'm stoked that that this graphic is here. That's kind of who I feel like. And that's supposed to say mayhem, and it does. And I like that.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
100%.
100%.
100.
So these are the two boards I've got set up. One fresh, one less fresh. I mean, geez.
What kind of bearings do you have in that one? Is it
Oh,
those,
geez.
those reds?
They're NMBs.
Okay.
This one has NMBs. And by the way, on the Superflies, I put in the center spacers.
You do.
I did.
Do you normally do that?
I have two schools of thought running at all times. I hope that Bud Stratford hears me say this.
Yeah.
This is always it's not really a debate. Because if you see this differently to the way I see it, which is highly likely because almost no one sees it the same way. All right, here's the thing with bearings, man.
God.
This is an opinion. I can do hard things. Okay. Talking about bearings. It's at this point that the CNC kids come out of the,
Yeah.
I love the CNC kids. I really do. They're a lot of fun, but why am I thinking the way I do, why am I thinking the way I do, being such a low-tech guy?
Yes.
So let me just talk about this. So you've got a wheel, right? And
Yes.
wheels are poured in molds, right?
Yes.
All right. So the mold has a place for each bearing, right?
Yes.
All right. So the wheel goes in the mold. It provides a place for each bearing, and
Yeah.
that place, that bearing seat,
Yes.
is not machined,
Okay.
except that the mold is machined.
Yeah.
All right. Now I can accept that bearing seat is perfectly aligned.
Can you? Though?
And I can accept that, excuse me, that's a burp, both bearings are going to be sitting perfectly parallel.
Right. Yes.
Except that I know a thing or two, having danced around production for years and years.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Come on.
There's a margin of error involved in those bearing seats.
Yes.
It's not high. It's
Yeah.
probably negligible. All right. All right. Next thing. When you put in the center spacer and you tighten the nut of the down on the axle,
Mm-hmm.
you basically are causing the inner
Race.
yes, the inner races to press against that spacer and become one conjoined alignment
Yes.
with one another.
Yes.
But if your wheel isn't poured perfectly well,
Mm-hmm.
there will be a misalignment working against that alignment
Sure.
in the rolling of the wheel.
Right.
Also, your wheel can't be flexible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thing is, wheels are flexible.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this argues against this point as well.
Right. Yeah, it goes either way.
You would say that because we have the spacer in there, it will keep the wheel from flexing
Sure.
a little bit. But what will keep the wheel from flexing? Wear and tear on the bearing.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. None of this matters because you buy 8 bearings a pop, and every 2 or 3 sets, you get a bearing that just won't wear out.
Yeah.
And you keep that one.
Yeah.
And then you keep the next time that happens.
Yeah.
And you just keep keeping
Yeah.
the bearings that don't wear out. And what you'll find out is about every 32 bearings that you use, there's
Right.
going to be a really, actually proper quality bearing.
Yes.
But that said, if you don't run
Yeah.
the spacer, you do have a lot more lateral movement that can go on.
Sure.
Probably doesn't matter either.
Yeah.
You could be losing speed, but you could also be losing speed when you have the spacer in if your wheels aren't perfectly poured.
Yeah.
And I don't trust it.
And if you use the spacer but you didn't use the speed washers, then maybe you're getting some friction on the... yeah, go ahead.
That's actually a bad one.
Yeah.
You want to use speed washers to set those inner races off of your truck.
Yeah.
And Ace has an offset built into the truck.
That's actually cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And so but you do not want your bearing shield contacting your truck or the nut
Yes.
that holds that on. So those speed washers are definitely important. But if you don't run a spacer, you got to run your wheel with a little bit of shika-shika.
That's kind of what I end up doing.
If you do run a spacer, don't have a bunch of shika-shika, but don't.
Yep.
But watch what happens if you tighten it too much.
Yes.
And if the wheel doesn't run when you have a spacer in there, if the wheel doesn't run free
Yes.
when you have it snug,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not working.
Yes.
Maybe you need to set them more deeply. Maybe you didn't get them in there all the way.
Yeah.
Or maybe your wheel is just not as precise a thing as you think it is.
Right.
And the alignments are just not what they were going to be.
Right.
And you can just make it have a little shaka-shaka.
Right. And to what extent does it actually, impact?
Slalom.
Well, okay,
Yes.
that's an argument I can hear.
Slalom and like 25-minute downhill runs where that kind of
100%.
friction is going to heat up.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
you're going to have a major failure on the way
Agreed.
down.
100%
But
agreed.
that's where you get into actually buying really good industrial grade bearings
Yes.
that are, you're looking for smoothnesses,
Yes.
you're looking for hardnesses, and you want wheels that are well done, and you want trucks
Yeah.
that are well made. I mean, billet aluminum CNC trucks, watch, they don't maintain their CNC
I'm
and
sure
their
they
trucks
don't.
have a bunch
I'm
of
sure
wobble
they
in them.
What was the wheel that you could get that had a harder durometer on the outside and a softer durometer on the inside? Do you remember?
It's Jim Gray's company.
What was that? What was it called? I can't remember. I rode those wheels for a little bit.
Powerflex.
Powerflex, that's what it is. Those wheels were pretty cool.
I agree.
And didn't they have a plastic insert where the bearings, the bearing seat itself was actually a plastic insert?
No,
No?
that is Audubon. Satori had.
Oh,
maybe so.
okay. I gotcha.
Paul Schmidt came out in the old days with
Yeah.
one that had an aluminum insert.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And that, if it's if it's machined, if
Yeah.
the wheel is machined on that, there you go.
Right. That would be cool.
Of course, those were doughy and terrible with unmixed powder spots in the formula. That's fine. God bless you, Paul. I
Yeah.
love you, buddy. Big hug.
Yeah.
I'm tough on Paul.
You are.
I am.
I don't think you're actually that tough on him. I think you're just saying his ideas are kind of...
I love these fools.
I
I
know.
really do. But
I
if
know.
somebody doesn't say something about all this stuff that goes on, then no
Yeah.
one will be saying anything. And if no one's saying anything,
Right.
then it doesn't get better. It becomes easier and easier for lower and lower performance to take up more and more space in the
Yes.
market and in the culture.
Yes.
And I ain't going out like that.
Yeah,
I
come
just
on.
can't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's one thing that I liked about that Tik-Tok that you sent me the other day. That guy was so heated at the end. He was like, I love you. Be better.
Oh, are you talking about that cowboy?
Yeah, that guy was so
That
cool.
guy.
I almost cried at work. That
I
was
think
so
his
good.
TikTok is called Helping Horses Heal.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And he is an absolute gem.
Yes.
That guy has a heart.
Yeah.
He has a heart for God, and he has a
Yeah.
heart for his fellow man, and he has a
Yeah.
heart for his nation.
Yeah.
I'm certain he's just, yeah.
He's on a watch list.
Oh, yeah. Tommy knows what's up with PowerFlex. They've got the softer ones, the plastic ones. They've got it all going on at PowerFlex. It's a good wheel brand. I like it. You want to take it down?
That's fine.
Take it on down if you want. I don't want you to be
The
comfortable.
sword. It was just like in between my hoodie and my
I saw
strap.
that. I saw that. He got a sword caught. I don't care that I have a sword. I hung it there
A lethal weapon.
because it's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah.
I know.
As you can tell by the finish on that, I do not live by it.
I do not live by it.
I do not live by it.
If only.
So that's what I'm riding. I'm riding a
Yeah.
Panhead XL. I do order specifically a 14.75 wheelbase.
Yes.
Do I measure it after I get them? No. I just ride them.
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Life Skateboards.
Yeah.
We ride Life Skateboards because Life Skateboards are made in a way that we value, and warts and all, I am so stoked that Life Skateboards exists in a way that they can offer you whatever you want.
Yeah.
They've got at least 3 different molds, not including their longboard lines. It's crazy.
Yes.
Life Skateboards is just ought to be completely booked out for months.
Agreed.
I am stymied that they are not.
Yes.
There's no shortage of people who want to pick at the minor mistakes or the flaws
Yeah.
in all kinds of things. Nobody's doing that about these far-flung corporate brands, although it seems like everyone's trying to act mad about corporations.
Yeah.
But here's an idea. If your favorite brand is owned by an uncaring, awful corporation, stop buying them.
Yeah.
Are you afraid that your favorite pro will lose their job? I don't know. Because if operations like Life Skateboards get your business, then they'll sponsor your favorite pro.
Yeah.
Give them a job rolling glue.
Yeah.
I mean, but no. Skateboarders are going to just keep buying what they're told over the counter.
Yeah.
And that brand loyalty will it's just, there you go.
It turns out
Meh.
inclusions, or being included in the group is more important to most people than basically anything else.
When being included in the group means giving up on things like that, what I tend to do is go start a new group.
Yeah.
That's what I do. But I mean, I'm not a joiner. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not. No, not my ways.
I'm not a joiner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I don't think a lot of people feel the same way.
That is what it is. So there's what I'm riding. This second set of wheels are 97As. They were what they had on hand at Life that was 50. These are 58s.
Look at that. It's nice.
They're actually 58s. That's actually a good sized wheel for me. And I rode them on the Life Bowl, which, by the way, the surface at this last Saturday, the surface of the Life Bowl,
Immaculate.
perfect.
Oh,
It was
awesome.
not. He had done a wash on it
Yep.
with.
Well, cool.
I do not think Coke makes a good wash.
Okay.
I do not. They sanded it and they've resanded it.
Oh.
They've done the sanding to rough the surface and to lift out the polyurethane and the oxidized adhesive,
Yeah.
and then they've yeah, I want to try slappy trucks too. It fell through for me to get a set of 9-inch slappies. I want to take 9-inch slappies and put them on that Zeppelin up there.
Yes.
And take it for some street runs.
A jaunt.
Zeppelin has since changed their wheel formula, so those super hard big wheels are no longer a thing. They now have a new formula that is less chattery.
Huh.
I'm looking forward to trying that. I'm going to take off those 10-inch trucks. I'm going to replace them with a 9-inch truck. I'm hoping for a set of slappies.
Yes.
And then you have a set of slappies.
I do. I need to throw them on my board.
I think we should wait till we can do it together.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we won't be able to go grind for grind since you make every slappy that you ever do. And I'm going to have to relearn them for the 15th time.
It'd be sick to find something really low and just fun to hit.
That asphalt curb down
Oh, yeah,
there.
that one.
We'll hit that asphalt first.
That would be a great one.
We'll definitely hit the red curb at Newcastle.
Oh, yeah. That will be super fun.
Yeah.
That one's right up our alley. I like slappies that are really easy to get on. I just want to, grind it. There's this spot in Chicago that I went to over the summer with my good friend, and it's right next to this coffee shop.
More like Chicago.
Chicago. And there's, it's this little side street that nobody ever drives through, and one side has a curb that's like this big, and the other side has full-sized curbs, and they're both, glossed up really well, and it was so much fun, man. It was like you could just sit there all day and just hit a curb and then go get a coffee and hit the curb and hit another one.
I can get behind that.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I like that right well.
Yeah,
I do.
It's funny talking about setups because I used to spend so much time. I would get a new set of things and trying all this different stuff and should you ride the bottom washer? Do you not ride the bottom washer?
Sure, right.
You get the new bushings. Do you not get the new bushings? Okay, well, how do you want your wheels? How do you want this? How do you want that? And there was this moment in Colorado. I had one set of trucks and I literally just kept them on my board until I wanted to see how long that independent would last. And they finally cracked. I had grooved them down almost into the hollow part of the center of the axle. And I did that, and it was so funny. After that, everything changed. I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy a set of trucks. I'm not going to do anything to them. I'm not going to change anything.
Did you run those orange bushings?
Yeah, and I love them.
Stock Indy
They're
bushings.
Totally fine for me. I don't take the bottom washer off anymore. I don't think I do. I might. Maybe that's the only thing I do is take the bottom washer out. But I literally just run whenever I don't care. I do like Bones wheels, though. I like Bones a lot. I think I'm on Spitfires right now, though.
I like the SPF 84B.
Dude, those are glorious.
They break free. They grip again.
Yeah.
Very consistent. Very pleasant.
Dude,
I like them a lot.
You know what? I'm thinking about it. The riser pad that I have one set of riser pads that I made myself out of rubber boot material from a boot manufacturing plant I used to work at.
It's very soft.
Super soft. It's more like a shock absorber.
Yeah.
But I've been using those since I started skateboarding 10 years ago, and they've held up so well. If those guys did a line of skate stuff, they'd probably crush.
Well, they'd never sell anything because they'd need an ad and thrasher, or I don't know. I don't even know how anything sells anymore.
I should buy sheets of rubber from them and cut them out. They're great. They're amazing.
There's a very I remember 7 years ago or something. There was a giant war. There was a plastics war.
A plastics war.
Yeah, because plastics are rails, tail skids, nose guards.
Yeah.
Lappers, like the bird.
Yeah.
Lappers. What else was plastics? The shock pads. The riser pads. And there's a big war because a whole bunch of people were trying to source and create brands of rails. Rails are there's oofta, because the rails are made in Houston or somewhere in Texas. I forget where.
Sure.
And one guy's trying to run a brand that's workshop making rails, and then all of a sudden, the photos of his workshop are only one photo a year, and there's these industrial steel tables and a giant production workshop,
He
and
was-
he's supposed to be doing it out of his garage, and that ain't a garage. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
that's in Texas.
Yeah.
It's launch mode. That's a launch mode picture. You
That's
know, like,
hilarious. Yeah.
and I'm like, are your rails made by launch mode?
Right.
And it's like friendship over.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and-
right.
And the vast majority of like rail that's why like Life, I don't know if Life still offers them, but Life came out with some really cool rails that look like the knife.
Oh yeah, those were BA, dude.
I have a whole bunch of the seconds of that downstairs.
Oh, dude.
and I'm planning on putting them on my boards.
They're
you
so
know.
cool.
They're super cool, but like they're made by someone else. I think someone with their own. Is this pointed down?
It was. I wasn't gonna bother you about
I
it.
wonder
I'm sure
if it
it's fine.
matters. I don't know. It could matter. The lav mic situation.
Yeah, it's fine.
They might matter, dude.
It might matter.
Yeah.
A lot of
Come on, man,
listeners.
look out for
Yeah,
me, dude.
dude, I got your back.
Do I have a
just-
booger? Is there
Yeah.
anything in my teeth?
Gosh,
You can't tell.
big baby.
I am a big baby. But you know, like the plastics war was on though, because plastics is a marketing game. You find a producer, you create a product, and it's marketing after that,
Yeah.
and
right.
trying to take up space in the market. Whereas
Yes.
in Dex, I mean, it's real craft and real care
Yeah.
among the makers. You know,
Sure.
you go on the makers movement and you can connect with and see people who are making, you know, really cool stuff. I don't get it why, like, no, I do get it. A lot of the pro skaters are plugged into a very easy money stream
Mhm.
where they're getting easy money.
Sure.
There's no need to actually care about. I mean, I've watched so many pro skaters, quote, learn, unquote,
Yeah.
how their boards are made.
Yeah.
And they're so amazed and their minds are so blown and they didn't even watch the glue go on.
Yeah.
You
Right. right.
And they you know, they're literally looking at an uncut take into their shape.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, you know, I just, it could all mean so much more and be so much more valuable and so much more inspirational. And, you know, like you could literally have board maker in your own city who is not a better skateboarder than you necessarily, but
Sure.
who has a place in your community because they serve value
Yeah.
at the price of their own labor.
Yeah.
And I still hope for such a thing to catch on. Of course, you know, with rumors of wars and pestilence, and now I guess this week we're seeing big, gigantic, bloated financial institutions are, you know, breaking down and falling
Yes.
apart.
Right.
I found out that some big bank that failed last week, that like the day before the bank failed, they all cashed out like their stock, and they all took bonuses
Yeah.
like hours before the government took over the
Oh yeah.
bank.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you know, like back in the day, such a thing would have resulted in a mob.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and it's weird because like we have the capacity for outrage,
Right.
you know, but it's all directed at weird stuff that I can't relate to very much. I mean,
Right.
I'm not relating to these things like university campuses are outraged about a whole bunch of things, but the fact is, no matter where you lie on so many of the identitarian and intersectional
Right.
hierarchies of victimhood, the same corporations and the same models of greed are punishing us all equally just
Yes.
for drawing breath.
Yes.
And we're not pulling together a proper democratic coalescence in reaction to such terrible practices as taking your bank tanked on Wednesday. On Tuesday, you got a $125 million bonus.
Yes.
By the way, tarring and feathering is a
Oh.
fatal act.
Yeah.
It
Kill
kills somebody.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't want that. I
Right.
don't want such a thing. That's a
Right.
terrible thing.
Yeah.
But like, and I'm watching like Matt Taibbi.
Yes.
He's a journalist.
Super good journalist.
My dog is.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Rocco, you want to come in here?
He's a baby.
Oh, go for a walk, Rocco. He's going on a walk. There's a journalist named Matt Taibbi,
I love him.
and right now he's like in front of Congress.
Yeah, what's the deal on that?
And they're calling him a so-called journalist, and I'm like, look, man.
He wrote for Rolling Stone. I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, do I think that Rolling Stone is like a pinnacle of American journalism?
No, of course not.
It actually has some chops.
Well, but that's journalism.
But Matt Taibbi is like, if anyone's a journalist, Matt Taibbi is.
I know.
They called him a right-wing, like a right-wing propagandist.
Wow.
The guy is not right-wing
at all.
His actual political history makes him much more credible, because if he had an axe to grind,
yeah,
he would be grinding it on the left side.
Yeah.
And in fact, I don't think that the journalism that he's being vilified is when you make someone a villain.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the journalism that he's being vilified for is actually right wing. I think it is like what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Where no matter where you fall on the identitarian spectrum, the hierarchy of oppression and victimhood, that these corporate interests are sticking it to everybody in such an equal way that I just think that I think they're trying to, the university campuses and all this noise and all this like fake outrage.
Yeah.
And even some of the real outrage.
Yeah.
Is obviously detracting from our ability to not only be outraged at things we ought to be, but to appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, in my mind, an outfit like Life Skateboards. This is about Life Skateboards to me, because an outfit like Life Skateboards, in my mind, should take off like gangbusters and should be booked out for months.
Sure.
And maybe some of the historic, before Life Skateboards, there were some California-based board makers who touted themselves as craft board makers who didn't treat their customers well.
Yeah, sure.
And didn't practice integrity.
Right.
And I can't help but think that maybe one reason pros and people don't want to get involved with makers is because of things like that.
Sure.
I've committed enough failings myself to turn off people to things. I've gone into detail about people I've let down, and you're going to have that. You're going to have snakes in the grass. You're going to have normal human failures.
Right.
Over at Life Skateboards, I mean, Sam is not an uncontroversial person.
Sure.
He speaks up about his mind and his heart on things. So, TF what?
Right.
Great skateboards made well at Life Skateboards.
Right.
And if I don't care where someone's at on some political or like, I mean, I might shy away from, I don't know. I gave a really good, I've given really good things out about Braille.
Yeah.
And Braille is down with that Scientology nonsense that none of us should touch with a 10-foot pole. But
Right.
it doesn't mean that piece of media that Braille made isn't a good piece of media.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
The
two are different. Things are more than one thing. Very often, they are more than one thing.
They are.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy today, and he told me, he's like, I make it my mission not to learn anything about what's going on right now because I don't want to lose friends.
Wow.
Well, and I understand. Like,
yeah, sure.
I understand, because if you learn about things that are going on, you might start to have opinions.
That'd be horrible.
And then if somebody discovers, you know what is a great thing to do with your opinion? Is to keep it to yourself. Unless you want to be an opinion journalist like me, and in which case I create a place and a time where you can come and listen to my opinions for what it's worth. And you know, some of my opinions are worth more than others.
Yeah.
It's up to you to decide what you think about that, and it's none of my business what you think about that. It isn't.
Yeah.
We're not here to manage our image. We're here to discharge the burden of our conscience to put things out there.
Right.
And it ain't gonna always be something that we're proud of, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like when I get cussy.
Yeah.
I don't like when I'm filled with fear and anger and like that. But anyway, this said, I think that it may be beyond skateboarding's state of development, health, human evolution, maturity. It may be I don't know. I feel like this ought to have taken off. Now also, Life Skateboards has laid everything that they can into that. Sam and Casper and me and Luke are involved, you know, with a very easy end of it, you know, just riding for the company and putting them out. But folks that run outfits like this are putting everything they've got into it, and the reason that they don't do more is because they don't have any more.
Yeah.
So like, it's like it's not like the California way where some venture capitalist is going to come in or a loan shark is going to come in and you're going to be able to just money flip your way forward, get a blow up, hook up with a fashion thing. It's not like that. When you're actually creating value. Have you watched the Von Dutch documentary on Hulu?
The Von Dutch? No, I haven't.
Von Dutch was a fashion brand in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It blew up.
Okay.
But before it blew up, it was just a scroungy guy just screening things and just doing stuff like that.
Sure.
It was one scroungy guy that all he was doing was sticking buttons on hats and or sticking patches on hats like I used to do. And then another dude came in and got a deal with the guy to do a larger brand, and he and his partner like took it next level. But the core of that guy, his name's Mike, his core is actually the brother of the guy who owns and runs Grind King Trucks.
Oh, interesting.
It really intersects.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, so this guy Mike, and he was scrappy, man. He was a gnarly guy, scrappy, very old school.
Sure.
And so Mike took Von Dutch to another level and Mike and Bobby, they got it so it was blowing up a little bit.
Yeah.
They needed money, so they brought in a guy named Tonny.
Okay. Tonny
from Denmark.
Okay.
He was a Taekwondo gold medalist.
Okay.
Danish, interested in cars, American fashion.
Sure.
Obviously an interesting person, very flamboyant, enamored of the Hollywood dream. He comes in, he drops $1 million in year one, getting things going. He drops another $1 million in year two. Sure. Then he buys out another another partner in the business.
Right.
He buys out the owner of Grind King. The brother had put money in, so he buys him out.
Okay.
Yada. Well, this whole thing goes on. Things are blowing up. They got Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson, and they got Paris Hilton and her little friend, I forgot her name. And they got like all of these famous people wearing Von Dutch. Von Dutch just blows up. But this Tonny guy, he doesn't have what Mike had. Mike is like, if it's authentic, Mike breaks it down.
Yeah.
Very similar to where I was with Midwest Blue Collar and Fickle.
Sure.
It's like, if it's authentic, it's going to grow. Well, it blows up. They edge out Mike.
Yep.
But Mike was incapable of partnership. He was so obsessed with authenticity that he began to bog down the works.
Right.
And he was a 49% owner. Okay. And at one point, Tony says that, like, I told Mike, I'm like, go on a beach and enjoy your 49% of a multi-million-dollar. They were making $250 million a year. Sure. At that point, it really blew up. Right. So you've got this one partner says to the other, he's like, go sit on a beach and enjoy your money. Yeah. But the guy's like, no, man, it's got to be core. It's got to be cool. It's got to be right. Yeah. Von Dutch was never about all this stuff. So you've got this conflict. Yeah. And Mike winds up being edged out. Okay. Harsh.
Yeah, like nasty.
They tricked him into signing a new renewal of contract that he gave up his ownership and became an employee. Then they fired him. And that was because he was such a core dude. Yeah. He didn't read the fine print, so he got screwed. Oh. His life kind of goes down the tubes, and he's at the end of his, he's giving these interviews. Yeah. And Tony's kind of agreeing. Well, Tony had a business partner from Denmark. At the end of this whole thing, so they bring in another designer to take Mike's job. Sure. This guy's a flamboyant French designer. He went on to blow up another brand you may have heard of called Ed Hardy.
Okay.
Very similar brand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
This is the guy behind Ed Hardy's blow
Right.
up, right? Which is another soulful, legitimate,
Right.
like really soulful thing, you know, because tattoos on the strand used to be gnarly and it used to mean something, you
Right.
know, and
Sure.
and blowing up Ed Hardy. So this French designer comes in, he blows, everything goes completely haywire. The brand becomes meaningless. It becomes a joke,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and people are embarrassed to wear it. I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing a Von Dutch hat today because
Sure.
it's just too stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, we need a P.O. box for people to send me Von Dutch hats.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We need to get a P.O. box.
Yeah, that's
We
actually
do.
probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is the point it brings me to.
Yeah.
At the end of it, there's this discussion from the Danish business partner, and he goes, you know, looking back, if we had kept Mike,
Mm-hmm.
who was so hard to work with.
Yes. No, almost impossible. Yeah.
Yes. He's like, you know, if you look at do you know what the word conflagration means? It means something
go
that
ahead.
just catches and goes into a ball of fire.
Okay. Yeah.
Ball
sure.
of fire.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
fully engulfed.
Yes. Engulfed.
So if you look at the conflagration that was Von Dutch when the French guy came in and just blew the brand out and was
Sure.
making children's denim and things like that, you
Yeah,
know, Von
right.
Dutch kids, you know,
Yeah.
and you know he was going Walmart with it, which
Yeah.
really speaks to the Enjoy, Dwindle,
Yes.
Louis Barletta,
Yeah.
Bravo Sports
Yeah,
stuff that
right.
everyone says they hate it,
Right.
but ain't nobody pouring wheels
Yeah.
and starting American-made truck brands that really are the thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean, oof ta, right?
My guy.
So anyway, this guy, this Danish business partner, he's like one ring out from the center. He's like, you know, thing is, Von Dutch would have blown up anyway if we had kept Mike, and we would have kept the authenticity, and the brand would have been a 20, 30, 50-year brand.
Yeah.
But instead, we got like a 7 to 10-year run,
Right.
and we just burned this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Von Dutch could still be going today. It could still be hot rods, motorcycles,
Yep.
pinstriping,
Yep.
you know, all the stuff it came from.
Right.
Except
Yes.
that the original guy who was just sticking the patches
Yeah.
on things,
Yeah.
he had a letter
Okay.
that Von Dutch had written
Okay.
in which Von Dutch was really, really racist.
Oh no!
He
When you
was-
say Von Dutch, you mean
The
Mike.
guy, the original
Yeah.
guy, Von
Yeah,
Dutch, right?
right.
But this letter was written like on his deathbed. I mean,
Yeah,
he was
he
riddled
lost
with
it.
dementia.
Yeah. Right.
But he said, "Oh, I don't want to live in a world with all these
Yeah.
racial things, all
Oh,
this stuff," and he
boy,
just
dude.
laid it out.
Yikes.
And so this original guy who had this long-standing beef, one day he's like, "I'm gonna burn it down,"
Ooh.
and he just released the letter to the press, and the whole brand went down,
Just
in
exploded.
flames,
Wow.
because they just didn't. They didn't practice generosity. They didn't
Yeah.
practice equity,
Yeah.
because everyone was horrible, okay?
Yeah.
But that's always how it is. I mean, Luke works with me, and every day I have to deal with this. He's always trying to screw me out of my
Yeah.
ownership.
There it is. Yes, dude. Yes.
I'm CapmLew.
Yeah.
I'm the Captain.
Here, sign this paper, Lou.
Wait a
No.
second, what?
Yes, this is Esau.
I'm never
Give me the
gonna-
blessing.
I'm never gonna ever. So I think about this because skateboarding people like to pretend that we're so enraged about all these things, but
Yeah.
the thing is that if we really would swing our hammer,
Yeah.
we would wind up having better options,
Yeah.
because we would starve out, reallocate.
Yeah.
You know, but the dollar vote, the true democratic dollar vote,
Yeah.
that is necessary for there to be meaningful reform,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just doesn't happen. People,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, what if 5,000 people wrote and said, "Love your reissues, wish they were pressed in America,
Yep.
gonna wait till they are"? Like, what if 10,000 people did? But such a thing will never happen, because there's no Consumer Reports type of media in skateboarding.
No.
There is no sort of ethical exposure, what's going on in the business.
Right.
And it is it is a mess.
It is.
It's a mess.
I'm sitting here considering these ideas and just thinking about how difficult it is if you were to create a brand and stay on message, stay authentic. You know, about 99.3% of that work is just sticking patches on hats and in your basement crushing out
That's what I did
skateboards
for 12 years.
Yeah, and it's funny. You don't know that it's this super authentic. You know, you don't see the value of that usually until after you've done it for a long, long time, and sometimes people don't see it until it's dead and gone. You know,
That's
and it's
yeah.
it's extremely difficult.
But life is
do.
difficult.
It is. No,
That's
I
the
agree
thing.
with you.
That's the
I
thing.
agree. Yeah.
All of life is difficult.
Yeah.
So pick your poison.
Right.
You know, like, do you want to give up? Do you want to give up your soul for stuff?
Right.
Most people do.
Yeah.
I have respect, not for that choice,
Right.
but I have respect for the fact that that choice is every person's choice. What
Yes.
I don't respect is that people don't know that they're making that choice.
Yeah, they don't put the pieces together in
No,
their head.
they don't understand that
Right.
their passive disposition
Mm-hmm.
is actually a choice.
Yep.
Like, the fact is, over that counter at that skate shop of yours, those guys are not your friends. You're not the one who's supposed to be impressing them.
Yeah.
That pressure should be reversed.
Yeah.
You walk in there and say, I want a Pool Kings board. And they say, oh, you don't want that. That's for kooks. You never darken the door again.
Yeah.
Which I think is why we have so much direct online.
No, 100%. It's taking over.
And I say good.
Yeah.
I say good.
Right.
I think it'd be great to order direct online from lifeskateboard.com,
Right.
or to contact Johnny Manak or Pete's Pigs. We haven't
Yeah.
mentioned Pete in a while.
Yeah.
And boy, do we love Pete.
And
You know.
Indeed.
And Pete's a shaper.
Yeah.
He's taken boards and shaping them. He's not rolling glue that I know of, and I don't think he should be.
But he's not a liar.
But his work is inspiring. Who he is inspiring.
Yeah.
And I like being connected with those people in my skateboarding way more than some pro who, for as sweet as they may be just the nicest people.
Yeah.
That pro and that product, the connection isn't there. Even watching dear, sweet, love him, Andy Anderson, a pioneer of creativity.
Sure.
You know, I remember Product Patrol. Yes, that was just asked. I don't remember if it was in Transworld had Product Patrol, as far as I remember it, and Thrasher had asked Dr. Blackheart. Those were actually journalism. They were messy and sloppy, and they were young, but still, the magazines never have served you in really talking quality. And although I am excited that Creeper Trucks might make a comeback.
Creeper Trucks.
You look them up. Kreper, Creeper.
I'm gonna write it down.
Oh yeah, the Creeper Trucks might make a comeback. Grind King is back on the map. I don't know his name, but he's a hardworking dude over there at Grind King, and I like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I liked Grind Kings because you couldn't break the kingpins, and I broke a lot of kingpins when I was young.
You're shredding.
It was hard. It was a hard era. We weren't achieving anything like what the people now are achieving on skateboards. That's a fact.
Yes.
My bar is set so low.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Because as a kid, you just would live on a frontside grind.
Yeah.
You would just live on the thing. It
Yeah.
just fed you.
Yes.
And now you've got this. I don't tend to be amazed by it. You have this much more technical approach to things, and people are working very hard.
Yeah.
Some of the achievements are amazing and are great. If you're happy, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
That's not to say that they're I just am a different shopper.
Yeah.
And for some people that'll feed something in them, and for some people it'll poison it.
Sure.
But in regard to this fake outrage we have about corporations, stop buying the stuff. Put your dollars into something that's real. You know, pandemic skate faction. I mean, the deck thing is happening now. Now you actually have real choices of brands that are workshop made. And I think you've got some really good product, and I think you have some really good people.
Yeah.
Not every maker is going to be an ethical, good faith player. Some of them are going to be, and also you should hold your makers accountable, and you should judge based on whether they exhibit that accountability.
Right.
That means that you should, if you have a problem with the deck you got, you should talk to them and experience what comes next. I don't know if we've got it in us as a people.
Yeah.
Are we a people? I think we are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But we've been putting up with way too much for way too long. And if you've got like 4 or 5 skate shops in your area, you go to the one that doesn't require you to impress them. You go to the one that actually, and you know, if it winds up being a Zoomies or a Vans store, that's a very sad thing. It's very sad, but that would be what it is.
Yeah.
And stop picking on people.
I know. I know. Come on, man.
We had a guy years ago in Indiana, and he was a ripper. Absolutely talented, top notch. Could be gonna be pro if he made good decisions in his life. Ripper.
Yeah.
And this guy was in.
Yeah.
He was one of the cool guys, and he took a job working the counter at Zoomies.
Oh.
And he suffered such intense personal attack.
Yeah.
From the local core skate shop. He experienced being blacklisted. He experienced being marginalized, vilified.
Yes.
He experienced all that stuff. And I watched from the sidelines as that happened. It was none of my business, and I didn't get involved at the time. But I watched as that went on, and that's a sign that your super core shop didn't deserve what it had.
Yep.
Because there's a skateboarder who needs your support, and he got a job working at a shop that sells skateboard. And so his job is to turn people onto skateboarding over the counter and hook them up with a good experience. What's the problem? They buy a board at Zoomies, and maybe now you have one more skateboarder who could come to the core store when they get maybe a little more interested in, I guess, being vibed.
Yeah, right.
And picked on.
Right. I know, dude. It's painful.
It kills me. It could have, and it's lost, dude.
Yeah.
It's lost. I mean, and Indianapolis has some different skate shops there that I don't know very well. But the ones that I did know, Rise and Nomad, were dumpster fires. They were dumpster fires culturally and ethically.
Sure, absolutely.
What?
I know. Yeah, it's so funny. I was thinking about the fact that, a lot of times somebody will get a board from a board maker, and they're so picky about every little tiny thing, and then they'll go and get a board from Zoomies or from a core shop somewhere, and they don't give a crap, dude.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Nobody's bringing a caliper into their core shop. I did. Not only did I bring a caliper in, I had a core shop that I was selling to that had told their workers, make sure my boards don't sell.
Classic.
And they told me that I had a crooked board in there. So I went in, and it was this cruiser board. It was like a sort of in the vein of a Zip Zinger. And I had given it to them for free on top of their order, as I remember it.
Yeah.
So I came in and I caliper measured it, and it was not perfect. Sure. And the other boards I had put in were perfect. So I took that and I replaced it, which, by the way, I replaced it with a good, like, normal board. So now they're way up on value.
Yeah, they're double.
They're way up.
Yeah, they're double.
But the boards that I put in as replacement, I included a plastic measuring caliper. Because when I came in, he says, that board's crooked. I said, well, give me a measuring tape. Let me check it out. He said, I don't have one.
No measuring tape?
You're a skateboard shop. You don't have a measuring tape.
Rough.
He's like, yeah. And by that time, I was well beyond the red line. It was easy to get beyond the red line in a shop. And so I was like, you know, seriously. So I came back with a caliper. I measured it, and it was. And the thing is, from that day, I began measuring in different shops. I do like five or six boards, measure them up.
Yeah.
Way off, up to 1/4 inch off, all kinds of brands.
Yep.
All sorts of production, all
Yep.
sorts of like, we have the best Chinese shop ever.
There it is.
We know because we went there one time and they were so nice to us.
Yeah, they were so kind.
They were so nice to
and all
us
the workers
there.
were so happy.
They were so happy to
Yeah.
be working there. Everyone was so happy when we were there.
Jeez.
How could these not be the best product, you know?
Yeah, right.
And just crap, you know?
Yeah.
And then getting introduced to the Mexican market and figuring out like what's going on in the Mexican market and seeing the kind of wage slavery that both of those markets offer, and like then coming out with a caliper and looking, and it's like some guy's gonna go ham measuring out his board and asking for a specific. I had a guy order his board down to the 2,000ths of an inch, you know, which is fine,
Dude,
you know. 0.126. That's by the way, 0.126 is an eighth of an inch, you know. And I used a caliper and I made the board that he wanted, but it took a long time because that has to be pushed to the back of a cue. That has to be made one at a time,
Right.
you know. And I did it. I made it 2-spec. That's the guy who was screaming at me on the speakerphone. Well, I used it as a cruiser board. That thing sucked. I'm like,
Oh,
well,
whatever, dude.
you know,
Jeepers creepers, dude.
I think I'm happy with what you got.
Yeah,
you know?
sometimes you gotta fire clients, you know.
Sometimes you have to fire the client.
Literally.
Very rarely. If they're
Yes.
threatening to put you in a body bag or put you in the hospital, you can fire the client.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just look at this and I'm like, please don't write an article on your blog that tells us how disappointed you are in corporations involved in skateboarding and buy boards that are made in a foreign country,
Right.
while you have legitimate board makers who are ready to serve you.
Right.
I would take a drop in quality.
Yeah.
I would skate dimensions that I don't prefer.
Sure.
I'm actually riding Life's concave,
Mm-hmm.
which is a different concave to the one that I made, okay? And I would usually want to ride the concave off of my molds, which are at Life skateboards right now, serving up, you know, concaves I made with my own hands out of my love for skateboarding. But I decided that if I ride for Life skateboards, I'm going to ride Life concave. And I don't think it's a terrible sacrifice. I think it's a really excellent concave.
Indeed.
But I made that change not knowing that it would be that great. I said, I'm going to ride that, you know.
Sure.
I've got a board up there from Zeppelin, which is it's like I'm a guest at Zeppelin, and Zeppelin is a guest in the industry.
Yeah.
It's really a passion project. It's not a brand. It's not throwing elbows. They're going to run 1,000 boards a year. It's not a huge brand. I think that when I talked to Bud Stratford, who runs Zeppelin, he said 600 boards a year is sort of their happy zone.
Sure.
You know.
Right.
Yeah, but they sell out like that.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, dude.
They do.
Yeah.
And that's what he likes to do. He's on Madrid. So Jerry Madrid's running a factory.
Right.
It's a low volume, relatively low volume factory, and the laminate on the thing is terrific, but it's a much flatter concave.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shred the thing because I believe in Jerry Madrid and the history of board making at Madrid.
Right.
Much more than I believe in. I don't know. I don't want to bum out anyone by picking your favorite brand, but if a brand is made in a far-flung land by people who don't ride, if the concaves are this one-size-fits-all, and I can't even high-five the guy who built the concave.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And forget it. I'm out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, or a lot more people than I think society thinks, especially like in my generation that are a little bit younger, are really looking for something to believe in, you know? That's why I think, I mean, I've said it before on the podcast, I would take up to a 20% hit on quality if it was a brand that I really believed in, that I thought was doing really authentic, super cool work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to have something, anything in this wash of just, you know, corporate, you know, grabbler ocean, you know, something something that felt real. What is that a bad word?
I just don't want Aaron Malico jumping on here.
I think he's gonna watch these later.
If you say Grabbler,
yeah,
Aaron Malico is going to come on here.
Appears. Yes. This griftopia that we're in right now.
Nice griftopia. That's good.
Yeah.
They're on their investment capital corporate grift set.
Grift set. Yes, right now. Dude. It's so funny in my career. I've begun to be in positions where you can kind of see behind the curtain on how you know contracts are made and how bids are made and things, and it's been really eye-opening for me to understand that most businesses and corporations are willing to do literally whatever it takes to keep the work, to get as much money as humanly possible. They do not care at all.
They will produce as low quality. This has been an industry not so secret for so long. I had people with deep industry ties come to me and say, yeah, we tried the better board quality thing. You're going to want to back off on that because we can't have boards lasting 3, 6, 9 months of daily use. Because then you can't sell as many. And I heard the absolute antithesis of my opinion.
100%.
My opinion is I don't want to ride boards that are made by people. I don't want to ride brands that are run by people who think like that. And it's not because I can't afford to buy a skateboard deck every 2 weeks, which I can't.
Yeah, that's
right.
Even at $30.
At that point, yeah, right. But I'm more than happy to endure the rigors of making my own skateboards and working to promote brands that make good skateboards. I'm more than happy to pay $90 for a plank that comes with a relationship to a company and a brand and a workshop.
Yeah.
And as far as trucks go, I think everyone knows that I spent $100 on a set of American-made trucks back in the day.
Yeah.
They were good. They're on a cruiser board. They're very turny.
Yeah.
Surf rods.
Yeah, I think, are they the only, I don't know who else makes trucks here in the United States.
Oh, it's pretty much over. I mean, when I was in a truck manufacturing foundry, and they were talking to me about how proud they were about their Chinese base plates because the forging on them was so much stronger.
Yeah.
And so much lighter and all this stuff. Guys, my boards weigh like 6 pounds.
Like 85 pounds.
I've Brad Edwards, longboarder.
Mm-hmm.
He died. Very sad that he died. But Brad Edwards rode giant longboards and he ripped.
Yeah.
And I don't want to skate better than Brad Edwards, and I don't want to kickflip Wallenberg. I never wanted that. I never wanted to be Andrew Reynolds. I never thought that Andrew Reynolds was a particularly great. Andrew Reynolds' example to me feels like this. He went from being a piss drunk, right?
Yeah.
Then he got wise, and he aligned himself with all the corporate stuff.
Sure.
Baker is made in China or Mexico or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
That's not something that I really can respect.
Right.
I don't know him.
Yeah.
As a person, I would think that maybe we could have a friendship or something like that, but that's just not happening.
Sure.
He's over there. I'm over here. I have love for him at the metaphysical level, the transcendent level, where he is a human being that the Savior died for. I am a human being that the Savior died for. I owe him a debt of love because the same price was paid for him and paid for me. Right. So we're square on the human level. But in terms of, please don't tell me that I have to respect that set of business decisions that put everyone into that basket of brand loyalty to what?
group.
To what? The group.
The group.
It
really is. It's just the group. That's the hard part about all this is, we're talking about all these corporate interests in skateboarding and everything, and I'm actually having around...
And they pushed weed culture to children
no, 100%.
whose brain development
Right.
would be harmed by that, and all of a sudden it's like, no, it's sobriety now, but it's not.
Right. No.
It's,
right.
It's still drunk on money.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like I've kind of rounded the corner in my own mind about these things because I can see to protect our personal liberty to choose what we want to choose.
Heck yeah.
These corporations exist and they're offering a product, and so we get to decide whether or not we're going to support them or not. And it's the same thing with any conversations about our government, etc. To a large extent, we're the ones responsible that the only options we have are total garbage. If we could spend our money elsewhere, we could actually have robust conversation. But there's that R word, responsibility, that nobody wants to hear.
Also,
everybody just wants to go and skate and not think about these things, or go and drive and not think. Or
rigorous, robust thinking. Let's be rigorous, really quick. We put dear Andrew under the microscope, right? Yeah, God bless you, dude.
Under the knife.
But let me just really quick.
Good.
They just used to push that weed culture. You know who wrote for Baker is Cater Silla.
No, 100%. That's the smoking gun of the entire thing. Yeah.
Literally, nice pun there. Yeah. Smoking gun. Yeah. Shooting kids in the kneecap, modeling to them.
Right.
As much as you could say like something promotes sobriety, something.
Right.
It's like, what you do with someone who is so substance addled and consistently intoxicated and so unsober in their public example to children, you kick them off your team for it. You take a stand.
Right.
You draw a line in the sand. Yeah. Anything that crosses it gets punched.
Sure.
And you say to that person, you're not an example that we're going to incorporate into our brand. You want me to respect a brand? Then have some guts and take a stand. If you
right.
But I think that the idea that those sort of things like even locally, we have an influential, every area usually has an influential shop. Our shop was a kingmaker and set up a lot of habitat people because Alien Workshop's distribution was over here. I keep forgetting what it was. DNA. That's what it was. Sure. DNA was here. So there's a lot of king making going on and very heady stuff. We had people come from my area and go become a pro, and like that. And
I can only think of one.
There have been a few, and there have been people who could be a pro and got a chance. Some people became filmers for Habitat, things like that.
Yeah.
And just once I knew that the product had been being made in China for 5 years without telling anyone, and they were capitalizing on a reputation for being really high quality, but I was watching the board snap, and you watch all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
But around here, we've had shops that come up, whether it's in Indianapolis or Cincinnati or in Dayton.
Sure.
And they'll have these boys and girls, usually boys, riding for the shop, and these guys are terrible examples.
Yeah.
And they are hyper dominant, hyper territorial.
Yeah.
Really bad attitude. And nobody involved in these businesses had the wherewithal to drop a hammer and say, hey man, you know what? We're making fewer skateboarders, not more.
Yeah.
We need to,
right.
And it just that's not there.
No.
And now, I'm like, and there's this whole, we got to give the people what they want. Well, if what the people want, if what the people want is the compromising of childhood innocence and the damaging of developing brains, maybe you don't need to give the people what they want. Yeah. Maybe it's time that you go sane and get called crazy.
Right. Right.
But it's not like there aren't enough options out there for you to run a skate shop without that kind of garbage. Nope. Couldn't do it.
Nope.
Couldn't do it.
Nope.
too much. Respect the gnar.
Respect the gnar, bro. You gotta respect the gnar.
We don't respect the gnar.
No, I couldn't care less about the gnar. Jeez, it's so vapid and stupid and vain and unimportant. It's wild.
You know, this is where someone comes in here and they're like, yeah, you guys, man, you Bible salesmen with your Christian, this and that. And I'm like, hey, man, look, we are God-fearing guys.
Sure.
But I want to say something.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is not some weird youth group thing.
Yeah.
This is that we have enough dead friends
Yep.
that we all ought to know by now that when you put someone on the wrong path, they don't go to a good place.
Yeah.
So an investment in the wisdom of a direction when you run a brand, a shop, when you run, you know, a media and things like that, what you encourage in people is very, very important. And it's important for people who occupy these places of influence to be very concerned with the long-term effects of the kind of way of living and thinking that they promote. Now, a lot of these guys got put in this place by people who admired them because they could triple kickflip.
Jeez, man. Yeah.
So they kind of got stuck in this position, and I think it's a bit much for you and me
Yeah.
to be stony-hearted toward them and be
Sure.
and be mean to them.
Right.
That's not our intention.
No.
But you know, better late than never, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Right.
Right.
Everybody has a decision, you know, every day about how they're going to behave and act, and
Even now.
yeah, maybe people are thinking about that and saying, oh, you know, I've spent the last 20 years doing this. Maybe I'll do something different. You know, that's okay too. I'm down, man.
And we say that about like the media, like Thrasher.
Mm-hmm.
We say that about brands like Baker. We say that about shops.
Yeah.
You know, and fill in your super hardcore shop that shuts it down.
Right.
You know, and that promotes. You know, literally had a shop owner tell me, I want all the kids to take all the drugs. They need to experience all this. And I'm like, you know, you take that, we do it to them, but also we have to turn it to ourselves.
Yep.
You know, we really need to turn it to ourselves, each one of us. And we
Right.
need to say, you know, not just my example, but yeah, like the trajectory of my own life. Is it going in a way that's going to strand me in disaster? Because we know that there are trajectories of life. Like if you're a person who enjoys recreational drugs, if you're a person who steps out on your marriage, if you're a person who lies all the time, if you're a person who cheats financially and you are vulnerable to, you know, like the consequences of those kind of things, or if you're beginning to be that person, or if you have that person in you, you know, it's really important that to some extent, somewhere, somehow, someone says to you, hey, consider your life.
Yeah.
You need to think about your life.
Yeah.
You need to think about these things. And what's funny about that is it's like the least important aspect of that is, oh yeah, and I like my boards made by a maker.
Yeah.
And I like authenticity in whatever brand I would choose, or this or that or the other thing. And you know, that's not even important. We spend time on it, but really it comes down to being a thinking, thoughtful person.
Yeah.
And considering our mortality, and like I have begun to say more often, like you need to look to the rock from which you were hewn. You need to consider and look to the ancient ways, crack your Bible, think about your life. I got to say, you don't have to be a God believer, but if you wonder, man, just crack it and start going. Crack it and start going. I found God powerfully in the book of Leviticus.
Yeah, bro, that's
That's
spicy. Yeah,
I read from probably 15 to 19. It was a big night in my life, and I encountered something in the law, in the scripture, that I never expected to find there.
Yeah.
I never expected it.
Sure.
And it's worth it to put some time and some consideration and a fresh listen, or maybe a first listen, to these ancient testimonies, this
Yeah.
ancient literature that holds all this wisdom.
Right.
And yeah, so they call us Bible salesmen. By the way, we need to put Bibles on our site.
Dude, that would
For
be
sale.
so funny.
Um,
But they're like wildly expensive.
We do.
Like $1,800. Yes, dude.
Yes.
But they're just like the Bibles that you get at hotels, so we get them for free and put them up on the site for like $17.50, you know, like something insane.
With a life skateboard sticker on the cover. Oh my gosh.
That would be so
Oh my
funny.
gosh.
Yeah, that would be
That's so
amazing.
painful.
Yeah, it's funny when you
Causes me physical pain.
pain. I know. I just heard a story over the weekend that would gall you. It would gall you. It's funny, like deciding where you're going to buy your board, deciding how you're going to treat your neighbor, deciding how you're going to behave when your boss, you know, does something that you don't like. Is, you know, all those things.
Deciding whether you're going to get sober.
Yeah.
Deciding whether you're going to. Yeah.
They're all like manifestations of what's already there inside of you, you know. So, you know, where you buy your board, whatever, man. But I think what you're saying is really good. You know, we need to consider our mortality, and we need to consider why all of this. You know,
Isn't it so
Set
weird
her
that
up.
because I think so often about how fleeting and fragile life is, right? I choose to ride that brand of skateboard.
Yeah, I know. I mean, ultimately, it has an impact.
Oh,
You know what
that's
I
so
mean? It's so
funny.
silly.
It's
so silly.
because I
It's
because I
ridiculous.
value the idea that my hard-earned American coin would contribute to my shekels, would contribute to the life and family of a craft person.
Yeah.
I choose to focus on makers, Gluefoot,
Yeah.
Johnny Manak,
Yeah.
Life Skateboards,
Yeah.
and brands that source, you know, like from Madrid,
Mhm.
you know, like
Sure.
Madrid is not a huge operation anymore, you know, and I tend to value those things very highly.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Yeah, it's interesting because we buy things very often based on what they represent to us in our own, you know, extremely subjective perception of what a thing means. you
Maybe
know?
there's a real degree to which America has valued the Luciferian mammon and the dissipation of intoxicants
Yeah.
and, you know, weed and heroin. I mean, we even tolerate just fine a brand of skateboards called heroin. And I know that they say they're not
Yeah,
promoting heroin.
right.
I
Yes.
know.
With the eyes.
You know, go ahead and tell me I don't understand.
Yes, right.
You know, but we
Right.
we don't only tolerate that. We support an industry that capitalizes. In the articles about Jake Phelps from the San Francisco Standard that we read, it was clearly, Tony Vitello was clearly vulnerable and clear when he said something to the effect of, as I remember it, we really have been trying for a long time to have this conversation. And it's been difficult because for so long we have capitalized on these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not saying that there's not going to be a transgressive edge, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's not going to be a place for the transgressive, the erotic, the provocative.
Sure.
No.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, have we lost our senses? Because I think we've lost our. I think it's.
No, it's
I
true.
think that maybe we're like, you know that saying, like, you get the government you deserve.
I have never heard that, but I like it.
That's what people tend to say. Like, in
Sure.
America, you get the government you deserve. Maybe we have become such a pleasure-seeking culture,
Yeah.
such a pleasure-seeking people,
Yeah.
that we slave after pleasure
Yeah.
so much. Maybe we deserve what Thrasher has been for the last 30 years.
Oh, no, that's 100% true.
And maybe you and I are, I don't know, some people call it pissing in the wind, like when you're
right.
and it's blowing back on you.
I've
sure.
seen it and I've done it.
Maybe there's or emptying an urn of ashes into the wind.
Yeah, I've also seen that, and it is immaculate.
And so like maybe we are a voice. Maybe we're a voice that's just going to go out and come to nothing.
Yeah.
And I can content myself to that.
Sure.
I just have to say it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's not 1984. It's a brave new world. It's all Soma and super crazy technology and just being happy all the time.
He just referenced two important books.
Yeah.
1984 by the one guy.
Yeah.
And A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it isn't so much it'll get 1984, but right now it's a brave new world.
Yeah.
Everyone is doped up on pleasure.
Yes.
The whole society rotates around pleasure and complacency.
Yeah.
Complacency always leads to complicity.
Right.
Always does.
Right.
That maybe is the thing. I wish for you, dear listeners, to suffer damage to your capacity for complicity that is rooted in your complacency.
Yeah.
Like we have probably one listener who, out of whatever 10,
right,
who is a diehard fan of Baker skateboards.
Sure.
Leave them. They are blind guides. Leave them behind.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of things that are out there that are alternatives, but I do know this, of the great alternatives that are rising up.
Yeah.
There are 20.
Sure.
They're very small, but they're not booked out yet.
Right.
And as far as trucks go, I don't know. The death cult owns the truck industry. I'll call it a death cult.
I don't even know I don't know what you're referring to.
The industry's like a death cult. Like they advertise in a way that promotes lifestyles that lead to death.
Oh, sure.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
They've like Tony Vitello said. What's that, Judy? Dinner? Oh, nice. Good. Dinner is coming soon. And we are at the 82-minute mark, which is perfect timing.
Yeah, geez.
But I think the industry has been too much like a death cult.
Yes.
It even comes with that handy, easy to identify, obviously Luciferian imagery. I mean, guys, this ain't no 1980s satanic scare.
Right.
I'm just saying what we're all seeing.
Sure.
We're seeing an advertising block capitalizing on encouraging young people to get on tracks that lead to destruction.
Yeah.
And they've dressed it with neck face and all sorts of Luciferian imagery.
Yeah. Sure.
I love skulls and daggers.
I know. Me too.
I do.
They're
I'm
cool.
not going to leave skulls and daggers behind, but there's a lot of difference there.
Yeah, and I'm not freaked out by all the insanity. And there's a part of the transgressiveness that I really appreciate. I do. I just wish it would be consistent.
Right.
Don't.
Well, it is consistent. It's consistently leading to people wasting their lives.
That's true. Right.
And dying.
Yes. No, that is true.
It is consistent. That's the problem.
Right.
Is it is consistent. But
right.
It's only after you go for 20 years that it consistently leads to damage, destruction, and death.
Right.
They're lying to you.
Right.
They're stealing from you, and they're leading you to destruction.
Right.
All in the name of F the rest, ride the best.
Right.
And I ride Indy trucks, and I'm not terribly concerned about fixing all of the things right now. I'm concerned about what I'd like to do is damage your complacency, so you can, what do you call it?
Care.
Escape your complicity.
Oh.
Stop encouraging kids in your local scene.
Sure.
But it really starts with you gotta let the Lord get at you. You really do. I mean,
fire course at 7 weeks, $2,000.
$2,000. You do. You got to let God get at you. You got to get quiet.
Yeah.
And you need. I'm talking to our friends who are like, oh, Christians are awful. They're terrible. Agreed.
Yeah. Sure.
It's a hospital, dude. You're not going to find you're not going to find a lot of well people who are in this thing. And it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough, but it's real. So, root around in it, friends. Well, you know what? We weren't only brought to you by Life Skateboards. We also have a lunch donation from Zeppelin.
Nice.
That's nice.
Thank you,
Zeppelin
Zeppelin.
Works. And there was something else that was the Bike Shop.
Oh, yeah.
The Bike Shop is a supporter of the podcast, and we really appreciate one of the few and best independent Harley-Davidson repair workshops around. I know guys who work at the dealership who are great mechanics. I love what the Bike Shop brings to it. And also I spent my day working for Solution Roofing. If you're in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, Indiana area, Solution Roofing kills it. And is there anything else anyone else?
Oh,
brings?
we're also brought to you by some of you who give very generously every month. Really appreciate all you guys who do that.
A big thanks to the
Seriously.
people who support us.
Yeah.
And also, we are available on Podbean for what it's worth.
Yes.
Also, Apple, Spotify,
Google Play,
Google Play,
YouTube eventually.
Chrome something.
Yeah, Chromecast. I think some of you guys are casting to
Yeah,
your
some
TV,
of you
which
guys
is
are
cool.
doing that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
good for you
And
guys.
some other source that we don't know what it is that 30% of the people get from.
Yeah.
And
Good for you guys running under the
we
radar.
appreciate you, dear listeners.
Yes.
So thanks for spending time with the CapmLew podcast. It's time for a delicious dinner with friends. We've got lots of guests at the house right now.
Indeed.
It's hopping over here.
Pop. Oh, really quick.
Yeah.
You guys got comments, questions? We have a Gmail set up. We'd love more comments and questions at the email.
Mm-hmm.
It's CapmLew questions with an S at the end
That's right.
at gmail.com.
CapmLew questions. That's CapmLew. CapmLew.
Yes, questions at Gmail. It's less than a cup of coffee a day.
Oh, and that's the other thing is we don't know if we're going to be able to roll it out in April because we are slow as molasses. But
Yes.
the days are coming when we will put up looks like a $2 paywall.
Bum, bum, bum.
$2 a month.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to do that, but we'll figure it out.
You know what? That's your job.
Yeah, oh, great.
And we'll help you with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
That's just fine.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. If someone out there knows how to set this sort of stuff up and would like to do some pro bono
Yeah.
for us, we are interested.
Yes.
We are interested because I think you can pick up that it's his job,
Yeah.
but usually, like it's neither of us should have this job. If we interviewed for it, we wouldn't get the
We
job.
wouldn't get it.
It's just true. It's just true.
It is. We're doing the best we can.
Send help.
Yeah, send help. SOS.
Thank you all for listening. We're going to sign off now for what it's worth. CapmLew.
Laters.
All right. There's the podcast
Yes.
is now over. We are with our video guests through a Facebook Live that eventually will become a YouTube.
Yes.
And perhaps one day we will select clips and post them. We have an Instagram post that has
50,000 views and like 14,000 likes.
What does a view even mean?
Stop. It just means that they literally looked at it. It popped up on their screen. They watched it for a second.
Doesn't seem like a number of views means a lot.
It doesn't, but it means that you have fed the algorithm what it wanted. Don't.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Thanks, bro.
It's fine.
Yes. Well, dear friends, we are signing off from the video as well.
Legit.
For what it's worth, CapmLew.
Laters.